Tomislav Ivišić is on campus. Is Terrence Shannon Jr. hurt? And Jeremiah Fears lets us know where he's going to play college ball and when. Special edition of Locked On Illini. Let's go.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another weekend rundown version of Locked On Illini. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single day. Simple reminder, we are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Whether you're listening to me while you're taking a run, while you're driving to the grocery store, or if you're sitting back having a drink and watching me on TV, just know that I'm super grateful that you give me some time out of your day, and I am super appreciative of it. Today's going to be somewhat of an abbreviated episode. There's a couple of things going on in Illini land, and so I figured I'd jump on real quick, check in with all of you, see how you're all doing. Let me know in the chat how the weekend is going so far, and just kind of give my thoughts. These are stories that I may or may not get to at some point this week, but I figured these stories were important enough for me to at least give my 2 cents to. First off, I'm going to start off with Tomislav Ivišić. As I think I mentioned on Friday's episode that the rumor was that he was on campus, and on Saturday we got confirmed from Adam Fletcher that Tomislav is indeed on campus and working out with the team. Apparently he showed up at 7'1" and almost 250 pounds, which I'm sure Brad Underwood and the staff are very excited to see. Again, having that sort of size to kind of counteract against some of the other teams who've loaded up with size in the Big Ten, namely Indiana, is something that's going to be a bonus to Brad Underwood. I really think with the players that we've brought in this offseason, there's 3 or 4 lineups that I can think off the top of my head that Brad can play at any given time, whether it's a small ball lineup, whether it's a big man lineup, and mix and match in between. Tomislav will add an element to going bigger against those teams that are a little bit more physical, and it's something that Brad Underwood now is going to be able to match up with. We all saw last year how, unfortunately, Coleman Hawkins, being the ultimate team player, didn't fare so well when he was going up against some of the bigger, more talented big men in the league. And unfortunately, his defensive stats kind of had to pay the price for it. But one of the reasons I've always liked Coleman as much as I always did is he knew that his defense wasn't exactly looking all that good, but he was just a team player. It was all about understanding the system and what Brad Underwood wanted him to do, and he had no problem moving forward with it. I, for one, am excited to see Tomislav in some of these practice videos that the Illini social media team is throwing out there about a couple times a week. Speaking of which, there was one, I think, on Friday that was released, and a couple people were concerned that Kasparas Jakushonis didn't show up in any of the footage and wondering if there were any issues. There's not. He's back in Spain right now. He's got some international commitments that he's taking care of. It's all basketball related, completely known by the staff and fully supported by the staff. Kasparas, as some of you know, played for Barcelona. I believe he's also on the Lithuanian under-18 team. So he's merely fulfilling his obligations on that end, and there's no need whatsoever to be worried about his status in Champaign. Someone whose status you may have to be a little bit concerned for is Terrence Shannon Jr. Terrence left Minnesota's Friday Summer League game after playing only 7 minutes due to a toe injury. Before the injury, Terrence was second on Minnesota's Summer League team, averaging 17.7 points per game. I'd assume it's just precautionary, the reasons that he didn't come back into the game. I haven't heard if there's anything serious, at least as of this recording. But also, if you really think about it, again, Terrence has balled out the Summer League. He's 24 years old. He's a pretty mature individual. I think that Minnesota is kind of okay if Terrence just kind of sits out the rest of Summer League. There's nothing else that he can show them that they need to see. I think at this point he's won them over with his play on the court, and I'm hoping that he can rest up a little bit and be ready to go once the season starts. Speaking of last year's Illini team, Marcus Domask got his first couple buckets for the Chicago Bulls. Marcus played 17 minutes, shot 2 for 6, 1 for 4 from three-point land, a rebound, a steal, a block, 2 turnovers, and 5 points altogether, a minus 15 plus and minus. So Marcus not exactly having the best of the summer leagues, but hopefully he just continues to work hard and develop his shooting, and maybe he can find a job playing professionally somewhere. He's certainly good enough. Quincy Guerrier got his first points of the summer league by a nice little slam dunk for the Toronto Raptors. Quincy also played 17 minutes in the Raptors' 73-109 loss to the Miami Heat. He went 1 for 4, 0 for 1 from three-point land, 2 for 4 from free throw lines. Did have 7 rebounds and 4 points altogether. Again, not the greatest of starts to summer league for Quincy, but hopefully he'll be able to find a role somewhere, making a decent paycheck playing basketball. Hope you're enjoying this special Sunday episode of Locked On Illini. When I say I'm the only place you're going to find daily coverage, I really mean it, including on the weekends. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, and it helps this channel out immensely. Final story for today is going to be Jeremiah Fears. Late Saturday afternoon announced that he's going to be playing college basketball for Porter Moser at Oklahoma. And he confirmed that he's classifying to 2024. Now, I'm going to be very careful with the way I say this. There's a lot of content creators out there trying to drum up stories about Jeremiah Fears and Illinois and how things didn't work out. And, the reclassification story wasn't a big deal. I've tried to be as clear as possible. The day I found out about his decommitment, the story pretty much was that he was tired of playing high school ball, and that next year he just wanted to play at the collegiate level, and why not bank 6 figures while he's doing it. Honestly, it makes sense. I can't fault the kid. And since then, there was rumors about Arkansas, Alabama, even UConn supposedly got into the mix of the Jeremiah Fears next commitment. And again, there's folks talking about whether Illinois botched this recruitment in any sort of way. And so I'm a big fan of Jeremiah Fears. I like Jeremy Fears. I'm a big fan of the family. The people I know that know them all tell me that it's a really good-natured and good-intentioned family. So this is no knock on them. But Jeremiah ultimately committing to Oklahoma, who I would probably say is a notch below Illinois, tells me that ultimately I think Brad Underwood made the right decision. And I've talked about this before. I was very, very afraid that a guy like Jeremiah Fears would collect a decent amount of NIL. If he decided to reclassify, would collect a decent amount of NIL here at Illinois, but I don't think he would get much playing time. In particular, because I think Kylan Boswell can have a good year. Kasparis, you guys all know I'm very high on. And Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, I don't know if any of you guys saw the slam dunk that he had in the latest practice highlights video. We have 3 very strong guards. And I just don't know if Jeremiah, who is trying to get as many minutes as possible on the floor, like in an ideal world, the Fears family wants Jeremiah to be a one and done. I saw almost no path for that to happen in Champaign, and the family ultimately agreed. So I wish him nothing but the best of luck at Oklahoma. I think he's going to get a lot of points. I know he's going to be paid handsomely. And I know it's been mentioned in the chat before to stop talking about Jeremiah, but there's a reason I do periodically give updates on him. I recorded a video earlier saying I don't think the door is necessarily closed on the Fears and University of Illinois story. And all I'm going to say is I continue to believe that. The staff and the Fears family still have no ill will towards each other. It's simply one of those where both sides realized that it's best to go their separate ways for now. But all I'm going to say is if Jeremiah has a good year, but not good enough to jump to the NBA, and the University of Illinois is going to be looking for a new guard in 2025, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing for me if Jeremiah Fears ultimately did end up an Illini. Thank you again for joining me for this weekend rundown edition of Locked On Illini. I hope you guys are all enjoying yourself. This week's going to be a very busy week. We've got Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis. I'm going to be kickstarting the Big Ten football season team previews. I'm going to try to go through all 18 teams and bring on an expert just to give us an idea of what the rest of the conference looks like as we get closer and closer to football season. Thank you again for joining me. Please, on your way out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, send this video to other Illini fans. Maybe do me a favor, post it on Reddit. And one more thing, if you are listening to this on audio, if you can really just take a second and give us 5 stars, that's actually really important on the audio side. I don't have as many ratings as I probably should at this point, and it's my fault. I haven't really asked for it. So if you don't mind, if you got a couple seconds, if you're not doing anything, maybe if you can just go ahead, rate 5 stars, leave a review, say hello, ask a question. I'll document it for a future mailbag episode. Regardless, if you have time or not, it's not a big deal. Just know I appreciate you guys joining me on this journey daily as I try to provide you Illini content, and you guys really make all this hard work worth it. Hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your weekends, and I will see you on Monday. ILL. Love you guys.